So Carmelo Anthony is likely going to be home today, released from jail. His bond was reduced from $1 million to $250,000 by a judge in Texas today. There's a lot of outrage being expressed. His family, because of the Give, Send, Go fundraising they've been doing, I think they have more than $400,000 in that Give, Send, Go. They are in position probably to pay the $250,000 bond, which I believe you have to pay 10% of a bond to be released on bond, so $25,000, if my math is correct. Had it remained at $1 million and they had to pay 10% of that, $100,000, because of the Give, Send, Go, they would have been able to afford that. But what I would caution people against is getting too outraged and too panicked over his bond being reduced. This is not some sort of surprise. If the media were acting and behaving properly, if social media had some semblance of fairness and rationality and reality, everyone would have been more prepared. Like, yeah, they hit him with the $1 million bond, but it's more than likely when they ask for a bond reduction, given the fact that the kid is just 17 years old, given the fact he has no criminal history, he's not really much of a flight risk. He's 17. Where he's going to leave the country and go where at 17? Is his father going to go with him and they're going to live on the lam? Is his mother going to go with him and they're going to live on the lam? He's not much of a flight risk. So this whole thing of reducing his bond isn't surprising. People should have been told that from the beginning to tamp down expectations. But as I've been describing to you all from the outset of this, the aftermath of this, from the outset of the aftermath of this, not the actual stabbing on April 2nd, but everything that has transpired. I think the young man, Austin Metcalf, was stabbed and killed around 10, 11 a.m. in the morning. Everything after that, to me, is being orchestrated and manipulated to produce as much friction, tension, conflict among black and white as possible. In today's events here on this Monday, no different. People weren't educated about what was likely going to happen, that his bond would be reduced. And so now there's a lot of outrage, and people are posting content expressing how outraged they are. I'm begging you all, those of you all that want justice for Austin Metcalf, those of you all that don't want more racial division and controversy, don't panic here. Don't panic. This is expected. Now, what's going to happen in this trial, though, I'm hoping that justice is going to prevail, but I'm not super duper confident. And the reason I'm not is because the manipulation that's been going on and the stirring of racial division and everybody moving away from reality and arguing as if there's some plausible reason for self-defense, that if someone asked you to leave an area where you don't belong and they happen to put their hands on you and you're caught telling the police that, yeah, I did it, he put his hands on me. Yeah, Carmelo Anthony's not arguing like he struck me, or at least in his initial comments to police, he's arguing that Austin Metcalf put his hands on him. And I'm seeing people over social media like, hasn't everyone been taught you don't put your hands on anybody, but he's got a right to defend himself? That type of insanity that's being promoted over social media and the key race-bait influencers that are all engaging in this, it's like they're stirring this up for a reason. And then people on the other side, the Nick Fuenteses of the world, that want to stir up the white side of this, want to make sure that everybody knows this is a great racial conflict. It's not a racial conflict. It is a culture conflict, and it is a conflict where, again, I'm telling you, Carmelo Anthony, in my view, not driven by race at all. He's driven by a code of ethics that's removed from sanity, that's removed from a biblical worldview, that's removed from an orderly society. Disrespect, perceived disrespect, not real disrespect, but just perceived disrespect can be answered with violence. I posted this weekend a story about an Iowa man. I think his name is James Johnson. You can look this up. James Johnson, Iowa man, just got convicted in the last 3 or 4 days. He's driving his car. I think James Johnson's 42, 43 years old. He's driving his car down the street at 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning. He sees a woman walking on the streets, rolls his car window down, and either asks her, hey, come get high with me, or come over here, I want to holler at you. He does something flirtatious. And the woman at 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning tells him to go F off. And then he pulls out a gun and fires at her feet, hits her in the legs. She dies. And he told the court he felt disrespected. That's why he fired on the woman. I didn't mean to hit her. I just wanted to fire at her feet, but I felt disrespected. James Johnson, long criminal record, completely bought into the disrespect culture. It's prevalent among black men. James Johnson, a black man, career criminal coming out of that prison mentality that all disrespect, even if it's from a woman that you're flirting with, you're rolling down a car window, she's walking home. All perceived disrespect has to be answered aggressively, if not violently. There's a cultural rot and a cultural problem. Too many young black men, middle-aged black men, black people have bought into that. And it has to be addressed. It has to be talked about. I don't want to perceive like I'm begging for sympathy for black people, but just the reality is, in popular culture, in the media space, the mainstream media space, the real problems impacting black people never addressed. It's illegal to go on TV or any of these mainstream programs and talk about the destruction of family and how that's the root of all the problems. You must go on TV and talk about racism. You must go on TV and talk about systemic racism. You must go on TV and talk about what the white man did or didn't do for you. You cannot go on TV and hold long conversations about, hey, what's the collateral damage? What are the consequences of baby mama culture, of a destroyed nuclear family, of men being run out of the house, of male authority being uprooted and upended for all black children? What's the consequences of that? Because, and many of you are saying, well, my parents are married or I'm married, and you don't understand that if your kids and even you exist in this matriarchal culture where emotions and perceived feelings are the most important thing on the planet, you don't understand the ramifications that you, your kids, again, yourself are suffering from being immersed in a culture dominated by the emotions of women that have been passed on to young men. You look out and you see all these men with feminized hairstyles and that's just what's in style, and he's just expressing himself. He's expressing a feminine side of himself. And I don't care how macho he might appear on a basketball court or on a football field. All these dudes with all these different hairdos that take up way too much time, got way too many different colors running through them, had to sit between some woman or some man's legs to get your hair braided. It's all feminine. But we don't want to talk about it. And so that is where I have sympathy. It's like, You can't even, in the mainstream where most people get their information, you can't even have a legitimate conversation about the problems facing the black community. It would be like it being illegal for anybody to talk about my weight problem. And we, instead of talking about my weight problem, we must talk about how well, slaves only got to eat this kind of food, so therefore Jason's overweight. It's insanity. But I want to make just a couple of more points as it relates to the Carmelo Anthony Austin Metcalf situation that I believe is being used as some sort of psyop, and the goal is to rile you up to when they release. And this is my speculation, this is my belief. It's not fact-based, it's my belief. In this era of cell phones, where everybody has one, Austin Metcalf was killed on April 2nd. We're now to April 14, 12 days later, and I haven't seen a video yet of what transpired. And this doesn't make sense to me. And it makes me think, when that video, when they decide to release whatever videos they have, it's going to be released to cause maximum conflict, maximum chaos. I think that video, or if there is a video, when that gets released, it's going to shock people. Just how senseless this crime was, how unnecessary this crime was, and they're trying to bait you all. They're trying to bait those of us that want justice for Austin Metcalf to erupt in outrage whenever that video gets released. Speculation on my part. Maybe there is no video. I showed you the evidence last week where the, what's his name, Dominique Alexander, basically the Al Sharpton of this area of Texas and the Dallas-Frisco area, he let off clues that there is cell phone video of this. And so I look at today and the fact that people's expectations weren't for the bond to be lowered, and they're just stirring outrage after outrage, and they want to convince you that Karmelo Anthony is going to walk on this case, and they want you to be really irate. And I mean, if I really go super cynical, really go tinfoil hat, they may be working towards a place where Karmelo Anthony is convicted of some far lesser crime and gets sentenced to 2 to 3 to 4 years for that lesser crime. And then they release the video. And then they release the video that shocks you, outrages you, and says, how can this be? What country are we living in where someone could do that and get this reduced sentence or potentially found not guilty? I'm asking you all the response to today, to the reduction in his bond and the fact that his family will likely post the bond today and he'll get released. Remain calm, remain prayerful. There's going to be a lot to this roller coaster. This weekend, I was watching a documentary called In the Snow, I think it's called, and it was about Karen Reed and an officer in the Boston area or in Massachusetts somewhere called John O'Keefe, and watching how that story was manipulated and right now I watched it, but I don't know what to think. I don't know who's innocent or guilty. I don't know if Karen Reed ran her car into this man or not. I tend to think that she did, but maybe she didn't. Maybe she was framed up in the way that her and the defense team have argued, but that became a massive case in the Boston area and all kinds of attention around it. But that's involving a white woman and a white man that were dating. And people chose sides on that, and it got very inflamed. Very inflamed. There's a blogger, a popular influencer named, I believe, is Aiden Kearney, and I think we've had him on the show. He calls himself Turtle Boy. I can't remember what incident it was that we had Turtle Boy on our show, but we've had him on the show, and he was all in the middle of this case. And from what I understand now, he's even facing charges for an inappropriate role in this Karen Reed case. What I'm saying is, I've seen this criminal justice reality type show that America's been living in, from Cops to even Law and Order, which is a fictional show. This fixation, everything you see on Netflix and Amazon is revolving around some sort of murder investigation. Movies, documentaries, everything's about a serial killer and this killer, and these officers investigated this serial killer. We've turned murder into our entertainment. And so here we are with a 17-year-old boy, Austin Metcalf, with a bright future, killed for, in my view, no reason at 17 for asking someone to leave a place where they didn't belong. And we're turning it into content, into a reality show, into something that we use to pass the time. It's a very dangerous game we're playing. I think this particular case is going to be massive, and I'm asking all, let cooler heads prevail. Don't become a panicking, as President Trump said, and don't give in to your emotions. It will not do you good. I think we're all being played. We need to be careful, keep our eyes on the prize. Don't do anything, any sort of harassment towards Karmelo Anthony and his family. That's what they want to have happen. Let's pray. Let's hope justice prevails. Let's try our best to get through this. And yes, they have plans for this case. Don't react the way they want you to. Let's see where justice goes from here. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.